Hello and welcome to the first installment of the Jobin.cloud Insider Series, where we cover weekly new features and tips on how you can make your workflow even more efficient. Now, Jobin.cloud has been around for quite a while, so we've got some catching up to do. So let me start with some of the features you might find most interesting. So let's go ahead and cover the automated AI reply identification. Essentially, in any of the sequences you create, let's go ahead and create a brand new one here. I'll go with the all one sequence, as that's going to be a bit more of a complete example. And from the sequence that has been automatically generated, of course, all the outreach operations aside, we can cover that on a later session, but what the reply identification does is, well, it allows us to focus on the most important step in our outreach sequence. The whole flowchart here is essentially the worst case scenario because it's going to send up follow-ups after follow-ups in the eventual case that the contact is ignoring us. But the actual end goal is for the contact to, well, reply and engage. So what we have to help us in, well, essentially properly focusing on the most important part of the sequence. We've got this dedicated reply identification panel, which allows us to custom add our very own variable that we want to identify. And these are defaults, so you don't have to set them up. You always have the basics for, like I said, who's interested, not interested, interested later, or if the reply is inconclusive. But the main thing to cover here is that since this is AI powered, you can fully customize this, meaning I can pretty much write anything I want the reply to be categorized as, and I can then run trigger actions, meaning that if someone mentioned being interested, I can actually have them highlighted and maybe, for example, added to a as soon as possible list, and I can easily filter and segment that in my database. Or I can directly have it attached to my workflow. Say I'm hiring for a Java developer role, and I can have it directly placed in the interested stage because, yeah, I want to, well, find who mentioned being interested, so I can more easily, both for reporting purposes, but also so that I can actually find them and interact with them more efficiently. And you can also trigger an actual sequence. What I mean by that is that the sequence that we've set up with all the flowcharts and actions is going to be, for the most part, follow-ups in case they're not responding. So I can say, hey, are you interested in this? I've got a role that might interest you. And then maybe a couple of months later, you might follow up again just to kind of nurture with them to see, hey, are you still interested in any potential job opportunities or so on? Pretty much anything you want to reach out to them. But if they specifically write saying, yeah, I'm interested, let's cover something. Let's go more in detail. Well, rather than having to, well, delay the conversation and have to, well, browse through your inbox on LinkedIn or on the inbox in Jobin, of course, and find the reply, read it, of course, and then reply manually. Well, if they're specifically saying, hey, I'm interested, and this is an outreach sequence covering, say, a job opportunity, well, might as well have an automated sequence just trigger on its own for us that just launches a sequence that sends the details of the job description. So I guess, yeah, an attachment with the job details or any other available information I want. And in case they don't reply to that sequence, of course, it's going to once again be a sequence. So we can have additional follow-ups occur for that scenario. But in that case, it's going to be specific for those that actually replied being interested. So very easily, you can have this essentially fully automate multiple steps in the workflow. And you can actually have it then adapt to the interested scenarios as well, without having to micromanage and, well, manually add them to those steps either. And of course, on a more basic scale, it helps also for reporting because any type of reply can be tracked or labeled in any way you want. And just to kind of quickly showcase the customization aspect, just press Add New Reply Identification, and from here, pretty much just write what you want it to identify. This is AI powered, so it's, well, creativity is the limit, and I can pretty much have this identify any specific scenario. So in case someone is asking for, like, say, relocation details, because let's say, for example, they need to relocate for that position, I can directly have, once again, an automated sequence trigger or any potential, I guess, yeah, tracking aspect that I want for that specific type of reply. So anything you want to identify, just type it in here, super straightforward. And then anything you want to track based on the reply you receive, just add it in here. And yeah, that's it. You then have your reply identifications done, and the whole sequence will essentially continue running. And when someone replies, it will look through any of those reply identifications. And one quick final tip is, well, very often you're going to have the, I guess, yeah, infamous OK or thumbs up replies, which, well, for most scenarios, it would then, yeah, be counted as a reply, stop the sequence, and, well, you're back to square one and you don't really know how to continue your sequence. Well, you're in luck because Jobin has the option to continue the sequence if the reply is inconclusive or unclear. So we can define all the types of special replies we want to identify, like if they're interested or not interested, or maybe interested later and so on, and then simply enable this, so in the event that the reply is inconclusive, then we can both track it and label it, of course, but we can even have it also simply prevent stopping the sequence. So if there's any generic kind of reply, we can continue with the follow-ups as needed without it disrupting the whole sequence for us. Tune in next week on the Jobin Insider Series for more tips and highlights on Jobin features to streamline and automate your workflow. And if you have any specific features you want covered, drop us a comment or join the Discord community, links in the description.